Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to Sri Damodara Janani's reading by His Holiness Sivarama Swami. We've been reading from chapter 8 and let's continue from there. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaite girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Although abandoning the association of family members is very difficult, by absorption in the thoughts of Krishna, the Vrajavasis effortlessly attained a perfection unknown to students of Vedic knowledge. But then it is said that what cannot be given up for Krishna's sake by those who have fully surrendered to his lotus feet. And the Vrajavasis were fully surrendered. Indeed, their devotion to Krishna went beyond surrender. Krishna was their entire being in the way that the soul is the dynamic force in everyone's body. Krishna and their love for him was the Vrajavasis' source of life. Unlike yogis, jnanis, or even regulated devotees, the Vrajavasis' attachment to Krishna was effortless, it was spontaneous, as was his attachment to them. The unceasing and increasing exchange of spontaneous love between Krishna and his devotees saturated the land of Vraja and made it a place so special as to be revered by the residents of Vaikuntha. The power of this Vraja Bhakti was so great that conditioned souls who strived after it by hearing about Krishna and his companions surpassed both the spiritual practices and perfections of other transcendentalists. Krishna looked lovingly at his friends and thought, "For them I am so easy to attain." His heart replied, "But for others you remain very distant." Conversing within himself, Krishna responded, "I am so easily purchased by those who follow them, or who follow my mother. Easy and difficult both. I let mother tie me up to this mortar, and from now on the word Bhagavan will mean the Gopi's son, Gopika Sutta. That is what it always means, but that is not understood even by the devotees in Vaikuntha." Glancing at the playing boys, Krishna thought, it can be understood by those who associate with them or by those solely devoted to them. The Vedic conclusion is that anyone can attain spontaneous attachment to me by and only by the association of pure devotees. Does that apply to materialists, jnanis, and even the self-realized? If they somehow get the association of Bhagavatas, then gradually I become accessible. In truth, austerities, scriptural study, and even attempts at liberation are false duties. Hearing from and serving my devotees is the only true duty for mankind. Non-devotees are of two types: those who identify themselves with the material body and those who have given up such false identification. The former are the gross materialists, karmis, and austere ascetics, tapasvis, and the latter are the mental speculators, jnanis, and advanced yogis. If any of these people humbly accept the guidance of Krishna's pure devotees, then they gain access to the path to Golok life, in which spontaneous attachment to Krishna in the footsteps of the Vrajavasis is awakened. It could be said that they easily attain Krishna. If, however, these persons do not get the mercy of pure devotees, or even worse, if they reject such mercy, then their path to perfection is arduous and highly unlikely. Among humans, those striving for self-realization, the jnanis are second to Vaishnavas. For them to receive the blessing of spontaneous service is extremely difficult. What then to speak of spiritually less advanced souls? Lord Brahma once narrated how the personified Vedas, undoubtedly great jnanis, were blessed with the very difficult to attain Vraja Bhakti. Brahma said, once after the Vedas had elaborately praised him, the Lord felt especially satisfied and spoke to them in a voice whose source remained invisible. "My dear sage, I am very satisfied with you. Please ask of me some benediction that you secretly desire." The Shrutis replied, "We have developed the desire to become like the cowherd women of the mortal world who, inspired by lust, worship you in the mood of a lover." The Lord then said, "This desire of yours is difficult to fulfill. Indeed, it is almost impossible, But since I am sanctioning it, your wish must inevitably come true. When the next Brahma takes birth to faithfully execute his duties of creation, and when the day of his life called the Saraswat Kalp arrives, you will all appear in Vraja as gopis. On the earth in the land of Bharat, in my own district of Mathura, is the forest of Vrindavan. I will become your beloved in the circle of the Rasa dance. Thus, obtaining me as your paramour, you will all gain the most exalted and steadfast pure love for me, and in this way you will fulfill all your ambitions. Lord Brahma said, after hearing these words, the Shrutis meditated on the personality of Godhead's beauty for a long time. When the designated time ultimately arrived, they became gopis and obtained the association of Krishna. Although the Lord directly blessed the personified Vedas, they had to wait an exceedingly long time for perfection, and during that time they had to remain in trance. Thus, in the absence of devotee association, even the Shrutis, the topmost Jnanis, experienced great difficulty in reaching Vrajabhakti. Krishna reflected, whether Jnanis take the self to be the boat with which to cross the ocean of nations, whether they have realized the self and become Jivan Mukta, or whether they are universally recognized authorities like the Kumaras, Brahma, Shiva, or Lakshmi, they remain far from me, the son of Yashoda. Krishna's inner self added, and the devotees perfected in the mellow of neutrality, they also remain far distance, for real bhakti begins with the service or dasyaras. Indeed, those devotees who are firmly fixed in pure spontaneous devotion offer their respects to the devotees of Dwarka, Ayodhya, and Vaikuntha from a far distance. The cowherd boys interrupted Krishna's reverie as moroseness, and so they gathered around to cheer him up. Some spoke sweet words of encouragement, others massaged his bound belly, and still others fed him delicacies plundered from home. "O friend, eat this special sweet rice which is offered to our deity this morning. It will give you the strength to pull that mortar to the ends of the earth." So I think we had read a couple of these pages earlier as well in our last reading, but it's okay. It's always sweet to read the pastimes again and again. Another boy added, if your mother became upset at your hiding a pot of yogurt, imagine how upset she'll be if you conceal this mortar in some far-off place. Heartily at their childish jokes, and so prompted Krishna to abandon his philosophical abstractions. While yogis meditated in secluded mountain caves to catch a glimpse of Paramatma within their hearts, these village gopas could see, touch and play with Bhagwan at will. The difference between the two was that the yogis tried to subdue the